Now we know the Mayans relied heavily on the movement of Venus. And it seems to me that a lot of the Stonehenges are relying heavily on the movement of Venus and Mercury. So if we understand what the message is that they're trying to get to us when we go to these locations, then we can learn how to have better experiences in these locations and activate memory, recall, psychic experiences, perhaps past life experiences. So in trying to sum up a huge topic, and this is a huge topic, I'm trying to just touch touchstones. This is my passion. If you all had another 5 hours and I had a board to write on, we would have a field day. But the point of it is in ancient sites, we also have to pay attention to the pillars. Do they have symbolism at the base of them or symbolism at the top? If they have symbolism at the base of them, those are lunar. If the symbolism is at the top of them, they're solar. So even in Egypt and Luxor, and we know that these Stonehenges had incredible monuments to them. I was up in the Orkneys, up way far north, Scotland, to the Ring of Brodegar. You know, and I'm sitting there like Serena going, you know, there's something going on with these stones here. I don't think anybody realizes that there's a whole language of light encoded in these. And if you pay attention, and that's why I mentioned Stanton Drew, because I am passionate about this circle, because Stanton Drew literally left us a ton of keys. For one, believe it or not, it is older than Stonehenge or Abbury. So few people know of this circle. Two, it has underneath it incredible ley lines and water, and all of them do. Every one of these ancient hinges are around a body of water. And we have to ask why. If we see that they're aligned to ley lines, and we know ley lines are Earth's magnetic lines, when it's the north of our planet, and matter of fact, we're going through a geomagnetic pole shift. So we're moving from north to south. So right now on our planet, and I'm going to use my hands because I don't have a chalkboard to show you, the energy comes, the plasma comes from space, and our planet with her force field tries to deflect a lot of it. But some of it comes through, and it comes through in the north. We know it as the aurora borealis, and it's the northern lights. The northern lights, depending upon the color of them, if it's green, it's nitrogen. So it's plasma. It's literally gases. And I thought about that for a long time, like why does the universe send us these plasmic gases and allows it to bombard our planet? Well, it's keeping a delicate balance through nature, but at the same time, it's moving along very conscious ley lines. And so it strikes our planet, some of it gets deflected, some of it moves in, it moves all along these ley lines and back out the southern end and then back around our planet. So it's creating this. Now the yogis in that teach us, you know, you ground your feet here, you pull the energy down through heaven, out through your feet, down through the earth, and back up and around. And you create your auric field. So our own planet is creating an auric field. Now back to Stanton Drew and the three circles and why it's so important. What I found interesting at Stanton Drew is that these three concentric rings, when you got into the inner ring, they had three different sets of stones getting up to there. The outer stones were more quartz-like. Well, we know quartz to be a very effective vibratory. Quartz has incredible vibration. Matter of fact, there's a spider in the desert that collects only quartz rocks and puts it all around its nest so it can feel the subtlest thing moving on the ground. And that's how it strikes its prey. So, if a spider knows this, then we need to be aware of this also. So those of us in this room who have crystals or quartz crystals, they're tuning us to the subtlest of energies. So they amplify vibration. So the ancients understood this. They understood that these quartz stones were going to amplify a vibration. Well, that's interesting. Then the more inner stones, when we get to the very inner circle, they're magnetic stones. And I'm going to wager to say, I can't prove it, but I'd sure like to try, that the second row of stones settle on water lines. And I would wager to say that they're stones that are conductive to water energy. So you get electrical magnetic energy with water and an amplifier. And boy, I imagine you could move through dimensions and worlds with that. And how do we know this? There was a woman, and don't quote me on the location, but I want to say Minnesota, but it's well known, it's well researched. She lived in a house that had incredible groundwater under it and a river by it, and Stanton Drew also has incredible groundwater and a river by it. And she had huge power lines overhead. This woman in her house had incredible psychic phenomena activity going on, so much so that Harvard University sent a research team down there to study what was going on in this woman's house. Now the bizarre thing in this woman's house, they caught on film these beings moving through her hallway, moving through the dimensions and moving back out. And you could call them shadow beings, whatever. What they also discovered about this woman is that once they wired her up, and they didn't know it until they wired her up.
When
but,
was this?
Pardon?
When?
This is probably about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little longer. But what they also discovered was that plates would fly off her house, cupboards would open, all this activity. What they discovered eventually was she was doing it. What they discovered, though, how she was doing it, is what blew them away. So I got to close because I ran up all her time. But real quickly, what they discovered with her is that her brainwave activity was altered because of the groundwater and the electromagnetic energy above. And that she literally was able to move objects. Which maybe if we go to these stone circles and go with the right alignment, we can do the same thing.
We're just going to have questions. You stay here.
Yeah, but he told us our time's up.
Oh.
Oh, we're fine?
Well, it's 11:45, but I'm sure you got time to take
Yeah,
some questions.
you
Okay.
We don't have to.
The name of this
Just do it in
woman?
a second.
Do you have the name of the woman?
I don't remember it offhand, dear, but you can go online and go under parapsychology research for electromagnetic energy and groundwater, and it's a very well-known case.
Yes.
What do you guys think about the butterfly man that appeared in the Netherlands this past fall?
That was actually made by humans, that one. But again, it can easily be resolved.
What kind of brings you to that, or what that conclusion?
I'm trying to remember who told me, but it was one of the researchers I trust, you know, told me that that was actually a man-made one.
It was
But
a
again,
good claim that they made it by man, but it was quite significant.
you know, some of them are incredible even when they're made by people, even though we don't really want them doing it because it just, you know.
Perhaps
we want it for
subconsciously, I'll offer this up. Butterflies are metaphors for transition metamorphosis. And perhaps by them even channeling to do that in the landscape is the awareness that there's a lot of metamorphosis that is going to be happening over the next few years.
It was a powerful symbol.
And
Yeah.
there was a real butterfly, I think it was in '97. I thought that was a real one, but I didn't actually get into it. We weren't allowed to go into it. And we always respect that when you're in your crop circles. If a farmer doesn't want you in there, you know, you don't go in there, you just take photos from above.